Hello and welcome to a reading vlog. I'm actually starting this reading vlog on a Sunday. I should have started it yesterday, so it's going to run a little bit longer than a week. But it is the 2nd of April today. It was the 1st of April yesterday, 2nd of April today, and I am determined to vlog all of my attempting to read 30 books in 30 days in April. So I'm already like a couple days late, but I am on day 2 and have actually finished 2 books, so I can let you know a little bit about those. My camera battery's just started flashing because of course it has. Fresh camera battery, let's try again. And I am happy to let you know that it is day 2 and I have read 2 books. You may have seen a little bit of B-roll introing this vlog of me reading Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 9. This was quick, a nice easy introduction for me on day 1, because yesterday was also quite a busy day for me, like I wasn't home most of the day, so I didn't have as much reading time as I wanted, but I finished this one yesterday, so easy start for me. I have spoken about Toilet Bound so many times, I don't know if you need me to tell you what it's about again, but it's about a young girl called Yashiro who summons a ghost from the toilet in her school, which gets her tied up in all of these supernatural, paranormal, mysterious things. And in this one, there is a new mystery introduced, but we only get like half of the story in this one, so I'm pretty eager to pick up volume 10. Because we've only got half of the story of this mystery here, so I'm eager to see how they continue with that and how they survive what this school mystery is trying to do to them. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying this whole series, eager to continue. And then today I have just finished a non-fiction read. I'm not a big non-fiction reader, but I have finished a non-fiction read, which is Space. 10 things you should know about space, 14 billion years for people short on time. And this is 10 bite-sized, fundamental things that you should know about space. Stars, planets, gravity, the universe, all of those things. It was very fascinating, scary, because the universe is so enormous, you know? And it comes out with some numbers that I don't even know how to say some of the numbers that are in this. I think it was 100,000 sextillions or something. It was I can't even comprehend how big that number is. But it was very fascinating to learn some of the things about the way that the universe was possibly formed, but also just how much humanity doesn't know and doesn't know that it doesn't know. It's weird, but it was very good. If you have zero base knowledge, like me, then it was a really good introduction, I suppose. Although there are things obviously I don't understand because I'm not an astrophysicist, I feel like it was written in such a way that I could kind of get, you know? And as I say, it's only 10 bite-sized pieces of information, so it really is just the fundamental basic knowledge. If you're big into space, then I can't imagine it would teach you anything new, but if you're a total beginner, I really enjoyed this, and I quite liked the writing as well of Becky Smithurst, the woman that wrote this. I quite liked the voice of her. She says in it, I write how I talk, which is why I never thought I'd write a book, but here we are, maybe writing as you talk isn't a bad thing. It definitely is having this kind of conversation with this woman about all of these fascinating things that she knows that I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Which means I need to move on now, and I'm moving on to one that I didn't think I was going to be picking up this early in the month, but I made the mistake of letting my patrons pick what I read next. So I did a emoji poll on my Patreon, and they have decided, unintentionally, that I am reading Born. They selected the emoji that goes with this for me. So I have, soft DNF'd this a couple of times in the past, but I am determined to love more Jeff Vandermeer. I love the Southern Reach trilogy, quite enjoyed Hummingbird Salamander. I'm eager to get through this one. But yeah, I have soft DNF'd it a couple of times, so I'm going to get the audiobook for this and maybe do some journaling whilst I listen to it, because especially in the beginning, like I've already read the beginning of it a few times in the past, and I can remember quite a lot, so I might speed through the beginning bits that I can remember, and just do some journaling whilst I listen to that. But yeah, this is about a woman called Rachel who finds a thing that she calls Born, and Born is an unknown thing that grows. Bit weird. But yeah, I'm gonna crack on with this, I guess. I don't know how I managed it, but I finished Born. I did not anticipate finishing this today. I thought because it was a little bit chunkier, and I have soft DNF'd it a couple of times in the past, that I would probably finish it tomorrow. Like, I know I'm on a time crunch, so it wasn't going to take me long, but I didn't anticipate reading it today, like finishing it. But I have, and I'm so glad that I finally have, because as I say, soft DNF'd it a few times. It's been on my TBR since the day it came out, because I actually pre-ordered this one. And I remember being so excited when the pre-order came in. And it was 2017! Wow! How? 2017. This has been on my TBR for way too long, but it's not anymore. I have finished it, and I'm now really excited about Dead Astronauts, because I like this. The end of this had me like, oh my god, the way that Jeff Vandermeer often does. But what surprised me about the end of this is that I feel like we got like an actual, like an ending. Like, I feel like it wrapped up as an ending quite nicely, which I feel like with some of the other Jeff Vandermeer I've read, the Southern Reach trilogy and Hummingbird Salamander, like the endings haven't really been like typical endings, not as concrete as endings maybe. I feel like this is one of the more like solid endings, but I'm very intrigued by Dead Astronauts, because I figure they're the dead astronauts that appear in this, so that is intriguing. But yeah, I did really like this. I definitely think it's one that I had to be in the right mood for, and today was a good day for that. Like, the mood for it was here, hence why I probably read it so quickly. Like, I was enjoying myself, I was intrigued. I don't think it's as good as The Southern Reach. The Southern Reach is still my favourite Jeff Vandermeer, but I do think it was better than Hummingbird Salamander. So, there we go. I'm like gradually building a ranking scale of Jeff Vandermeer books. So, which one will I read from him next? Will it be Dead Astronauts? Will it be Venice Underground? Because I really want to read that as well. I don't think it'll be City of Saints and Madmen quite yet. I haven't run it through Core Pile. I feel like it will be a 4-star. It's not 5-star material, but it was definitely a strong book. It had me feeling things. I was very intrigued. Like, I think intrigue will score very highly on Core Pile. Characters will probably score less so. I feel like this is pretty consistent across everything I've read from Vandermeer so far, is that his character is probably the weakest just because of his writing style. Like, it's a deliberate choice for you to not know very much about the characters that you're reading about, or reading from the perspective of even. But the intrigue was very high, the atmosphere was pretty high. And I do like his writing style when I'm in the mood for that weird vibe, which I was today. So yeah, I'm feeling very 4-star about this. And that is 3 books done for the first 2 days of April. So my 30 and 30 is going strong so far. And I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. And it's only 10 to 10. I could get some more reading done tonight, but I don't know what of. So, to my Patreon poll I go. and I will let you know what is picked for me to read. Because apparently I just don't like making my own choices today. Hello, it is... Oh, Silly Boy's here. Hello, baby. You can't reach me all the way up here. You can't reach me. It is Tuesday. I don't think I spoke to you yesterday. So the last thing you know is I finished Born on Sunday. I have actually finished 2 things since then. So after Born, I went to my Patreon poll, and my patrons actually did me a huge favour in accidentally, because it was an emoji poll, so they didn't know what they were voting for, but they accidentally picked me a comic, which I don't know where I'd put, but it was Low Volume 3 that they picked for me. It's been a while since I read Volume 2, but Low Volume 3, which is a sci-fi comic set many years in the future when the sun has expanded to the point where the radiation levels on the Earth's surface are toxic. So humanity has taken these domes to the bottom of the ocean and now lives underwater. I'm 3 volumes in now, so the story has developed, but essentially these domes are running out of oxygen, and the main family we follow, the dad was murdered at the beginning of the first volume, and we're a few years in the future now. The daughters have been in different places, the mother is in a very different place, and all of their little plots come together. The surface of Earth, it's a very different place when the sun has expanded and humanity has gone to the ocean. It was very interesting. It's weird. It's kind of grim in places, but it was enjoyable. I liked it. I definitely want to continue with the series overall. But that is another book down. A comic, so a quick one, which then meant I needed another book. And after reading Born, I really wanted to move into Dead Astronauts, but then I remembered there is a novella between Born and Dead Astronauts called Strange Bird. Here it is. So I read this last night, which was so odd. So, set in the same world as Born. In fact, part of Strange Bird is set at the same time as Born, but from the Strange Bird's perspective rather than Born, Rachel and Wick. Born, Rachel and Wick do crop up in Strange Bird, but we're following the perspective of the Strange Bird. I don't even know how I would summarise that book. Like, this bird has gone through a lot, and there is a lot of questions around what this bird is, or what this bird was, and what this bird will be, and why this bird exists, and what the bird is genetically navigated towards, and like her creation, and it was so weird. So very weird. And I don't really want to say too much on that, because if you're a Vandermeer fan, you haven't read Strange Bird yet, you should. And I'm very glad that I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I probably enjoyed it a little bit more than I enjoyed Born, despite the fact that it's teeny tiny. I say teeny tiny. It's not that much smaller than Annihilation, I don't think. I think it was like 150 pages or something. Like, Annihilation's only 190, so... but yeah, that was enjoyable, but very weird. And if you're a Vandermeer fan, you should pick that up. And that's where I'm up to. So I think that puts me at 4 books. Does that put me at 4 books? 5 books? Toilet Bound, Space, Born, Low, Strange Bird. 5 books. That's where I'm at. It is the 4th of April, so I am a day ahead. But the next book I'm going to pick, I will not finish today. Because I'm picking up this one. I am behind on my Patreon buddy read with this one, so I really need to pick it up. But I do not see myself finishing this today because I'm working today and I have an appointment after work today. So I'm probably not going to be able to actually settle down and read until like 7:30. Oh, then I need to take Finn out. I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done today. Not a lot, so the fact that I'm a day ahead at the minute is good. But I am going to start Voice of War by Zach Argyle. This is book 1 in the Threadlight trilogy. It is my Patreon buddy read series for March, April, May. I am a little bit behind, so I need to fly through this for the live show soon. It's a bit of a chonker. I say a bit of a chonker, it's not actually that big. It's 366 pages, but in regards to 30 books in 30 days, it's not a read I can do in a day. But we'll give it my best shot. Anyway, I am gonna go back to work. I'm on my lunch break at the minute, so I'm going to head back to get some work done and let you know when I've got something new to tell you. I am in my car. You are balanced on my steering wheel. I am stressed. It's 20 to 6. Finished work. Have come out to go to my nail appointment. But oh my god, I'm just stressed. The traffic wasn't actually that bad, but I seem to just keep hurting myself today. Like this afternoon, I just keep hurting myself. And I've just stabbed myself in the hand with my nails, trying to find my camera to show you that we're saying goodbye to these nails. And I've just really hurt my hand. And my arm hurts, my hand hurts. Anyway, I'm gonna go get these nails removed because they're too long for me. I don't know how they got this long this quickly, but they're too long for me. So let's go say good riddance to these. Get some nice, fresh, shorter ones done. And then I'll show you what I've got. Let's go see. I'm back! Nails done. You can't tell because you're in the same place as you were before I left. But we've gone for green this time. I was going to go for green last time and then I ended up with black. I actually went for the green this time. I love it. They're so much shorter, which is exactly what I wanted because they were way too long. Love it. But now I'm going to go home, and when I get home, I'm going to crack on with Voice of War, because that's what I need to do. Hello again. It is Wednesday, the 5th of April, and I have finished Voice of War. So I read about 100 pages yesterday, and then today have finished it. I've been listening to the audiobook. It was good, so I've managed to get through 200 odd pages today. Hurrah! I've been listening to the audiobook whilst I've been like playing with visuals for work and stuff. I can't listen to an audiobook whilst I'm like writing a blog post or something. Can't do that. But when I'm like playing with graphics and making things look pretty, I like to have an audiobook whilst I'm doing that, you know? So that's pretty much what I've been doing today, is making some pretty things and listening to the audiobook for Voice of War. I liked this. I didn't love this, but I'm intrigued enough to want to continue. I haven't run it through Core Pile, but I feel like it could be possibly a 3.5 on Core Pile. Like, it might just scrape a 4. It might sit in the 3s. I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of how I feel about it. It was good. It was interesting. Towards the end, no pun intended, I did kind of lose the thread of what was happening. Like, it got very chaotic and I kind of lost what was going on. And also, in general, I think the book was quite quick and I didn't really come to care for a lot of the characters, so I didn't feel like I had that connection, which is a shame. but the intrigue is definitely very high. So I think intrigue on core pile will probably save this a little bit, because character wasn't as great, and like I don't think the pacing was so great, so that would come into plot. But intrigue was very high. It definitely reminded me of Mistborn meets Truthwitch. Smushed together, had a baby. And I love Mistborn. Mistborn's brilliant. And I like Truthwitch. But I didn't mesh with this as much as I perhaps would have liked to, but I by no means disliked it. And as I say, it might just scrape a 4-star. It might sit in the 3. It's probably gonna sit in the 3s, unless intrigue really claws its way up to a higher rating. But yeah, how do I explain what this is about? This is about a world where you're born with certain eye colours which mean things. So the colour your eyes glow, like this dude, determine whether you are a thread weaver or not, whether you can see thread light. There is something special about this guy's child, which means that people are after it, which kind of forces them to be a little bit on the run, but I don't know what's in the blurb and what's spoilery, because the blurb isn't really a lot. Oh, it does say as a dark voice in his head, so not a spoiler. But yeah, there's something going on with this dude. Not only is he a very powerful thread weaver, he has this dark voice living in his head that is this like powerful force wanting to work its way out of him. So he's like a bit risky, but he would do anything to save his baby. And then we follow another perspective of a young girl who is addicted to threadlight. And again, that's on the blurb. So she uses threadlight way more than is recommended, and she is addicted to it, and it is beginning to have a negative impact on her life. And then we follow another dude who, yeah, I was going to say his perspective isn't introduced until a little bit later, and it's kind of anything I say about him could be spoilery, so I'm just going to leave him. But between the three of them, their perspectives all eventually come together and the world will be changed. It's feeling kind of 3-star for me, so there's that. But it is done, which puts me on book 6? Is that book 6? That is book 6. Cool. And again, I have gone to my patrons for a poll on what I should read next. Here comes the dog. Hello, Finny boy. I've gone to my patrons for a poll on what I should read next, and they have decided. On this. Half a War by Joe Abercrombie. So another sizable one. So I'm quite proud that so far the books coming onto this TBR aren't all teeny tiny. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of them have been, but Born, Voice of War, and now this are reasonable sized novels. But this is the third and final book in the Shattered Sea trilogy. Each of the books in this trilogy follow a different protagonist. In the first one we follow Yavi, who is the prince, but he has been pushed out from his rightful place and he needs to reclaim his throne. And he gets a band of underdogs on his side, really, and they prove to be the best companions he could have wished for. The second one follows on from the events of the first one, but follows a different character. We follow a young girl who is incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, and incredibly underestimated. And in this one, we appear to follow a princess. Oh, she needs to reclaim her birthright. So is this going to be a repeat of book 1? She's left with only words to help reclaim her birthright. But enemies have raised the greatest army since the elves made war on God. So we'll see. Right, my phone is ringing, but I'm going to read this. Chat to you later. Small update just before I head to bed, but I did some Patreon sprints this evening and have managed to get to page 279 of Half a War. So I've read 200 pages of Voice of War and nearly 300 pages of Half a War today, so I call that pretty good going. I'm not feeling too differently about this than I did the other one, sadly, but I am glad that I'll be finishing out the trilogy, so there's that. But I'll give you more like in-depth thoughts when I finish it. I just thought I'd let you know that I've made really good progress today, so winner. Hello friends, I totally forgot to update you yesterday. Entirely. It's Friday now, but I did finish Half a War yesterday. I keep wanting to call it Half a King. That's the first book, but I did finish Half a War yesterday. This was equally as meh as the other two in the trilogy, but I'm glad that it's done now. I've put it through Core Pile. It came out at 3 stars. I think all of them have come out at 3 stars. It's just meh. Like, it's fine. I don't want to say it's bad, but it's also not great. And I wonder whether, because I didn't know that this trilogy was YA before I picked it up. I didn't know that. But I wonder whether Joe Abercrombie, at the point of writing this, was like already so ingrained in writing the adult fantasy that when he thought, oh, I'm gonna write a YA, he just took it down too many pegs, you know, and it just is a bit bland and boring. I didn't feel connected to any of the characters. There are a lot of deaths in this one and none of them really got to me. I liked the character who was like our main character in this one. She was pretty cool. Obviously we still had the characters from the prior 2 books as well, because it does follow like the same plot, but with the focus point being a different character each time. So I'm glad I've got to the end of that plot, but it was just a bit meh. 3-star trilogy for me. And then after finishing that, I have started another non-fiction. I have started Dinosaurs, 10 Things You Should Know by Dr. Dean Lomax. I am just over halfway. These non-fictions are teeny tiny, but so fascinating. And the way this puts into perspective the, like, time of dinosaurs, again, similar to what I said about the space one. If you already have the base knowledge, this might not be as interesting to you, because it might just cover things you already know. I have no knowledge. So the way this put into perspective, like, the time span of dinosaurs and how, like, a Tyrannosaurus is closer in time to us than it is a Stegosaurus. So a Stegosaurus was so much longer ago than a Tyrannosaurus that a Tyrannosaurus is closer in timeline to humans and us and modern day than it is to a Stegosaurus. Like, here's your timeline, here's a Stegosaurus, here's a Tyrannosaurus, here's us, you know? Weird. But when you think of 230 million years, that's like an incomprehensible time span. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. Woo! Just finished the section on dinosaur sex and the fact that they don't know how they did it, which is quite fascinating. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this today, so I'm enjoying this a whole lot. And I don't want to jump straight into the time one because I don't want to run out of these, because I only have the 3 and I don't want to like fly through them all, but they're really fascinating. So when I finish this, I think I'm gonna read another volume of Toilet Bound, just because this is the second part of the plot from the one before and I don't want to leave it too long between volumes with it being the same, like, story part, like the same mystery. You know what I mean? I hope. So I think I might dive into this afterwards. And then I will probably go back to a Patreon poll and see what people pick. Time for an update. It is much later in the day. I have been sat in the garden. The weather has been glorious. It still is quite lovely. But reading update. Wow, I'm exhausted. Why am I so out of breath? Right. I have finished Dinosaurs. 10 Things You Should Know. Enlightening. Birds
are dinosaurs. I didn't know that. If you're a dinosaur person, you probably knew that. I did not. I did not know that birds are dinosaurs. I knew that, like, dinosaurs had been discovered with feathers, and the research was going in the direction of, like, birds are the closest thing to dinosaurs we have, but I didn't know that the research had gone as far as to say, actually, birds are direct descendants of dinosaurs. Birds are classified in the same way dinosaurs are, like, birds are dinosaurs, which is incredible. And then the fact that the closest living relative to birds is crocodiles. Crocodiles. Birds. Related. Science is weird, but very interesting. Very glad to have read it. Like, these little 10 fact books, I'm really into them. I do want to read more. I've actually placed an order on Waterstones today for a bunch more non-fiction. Not these 10 fact books, because I'm waiting for the ones that I'm interested in to be released, other than the time one, which I'll get to at some point. But I ordered another book by the same author of this one, Dr. Becky Smethurst, who's done a book entirely on black holes. And in that book, she was saying, when it got to the black hole section, she was saying, sorry if I linger on black holes, that is my, like, particular passion point. And she's done a whole book on black holes, so I've got that. I'm excited about that. And I also got another one on This Way to the Universe, which apparently is, like, all of the basics you should know about the universe and physics and stuff in a very understandable language. So we'll see what that one's like. What else did I get? I got another spacey one, and I can't remember what it was. The End of Everything. This is The End of Everything, which is 5 theories on the end of the universe, how the universe is going to end, and what lessons it can teach you about how to live your life, which also sounds incredibly interesting. So, who knew I would become a non-fiction girly about physics, of all things, and natural history, maybe. Who saw that coming? Anyway, yeah, that's my dinosaur book done. Really enjoyed it. I then decided that I needed to pick up Toilet Bound Volume 10, because this is a continuation of the story in Volume 9. With a lot of these, like, each volume kind of has its own story arc, and it's almost, like, episodic. This is apparently a 3-parter, because we're still not at the end of this particular episode, let's call it. We're still with the same mystery, the same plot point. So, yeah, I wanted to get to Volume 10, because Volume 9 didn't wrap up that plot point. And Volume 10 hasn't either. We've got further, but we still haven't wrapped it up, so I need to get to Volume 11 soon, because I don't want to, like, have a big gap between them when it's the same, like, story. Do you know what I mean? Like, the same particular piece of the overall Toilet Bound story. But I enjoyed this, as I have enjoyed all of them. I'm enjoying Toilet Bound a whole heckin' lot. And I'm really glad to be making progress. So that's another one done. So I've actually finished 2 books today, which I'm gonna say I didn't see coming. But after that, I have gone back to my patrons for another poll, because that seems to be the theme of the week, is putting the poll to my patrons to see what I'm reading. And they have either done me really, really dirty, or done me a favour. I don't know how I feel yet. I mean, at the minute I'm thinking of going with they've done me really, really dirty, because the book that they have chosen for me to read next is 700 pages? Wrath by John Gwynne. This is the next book I'm tackling for 30 books in 30 days. Let's see how this goes. On one hand, I'm kind of gutted that this won the poll because it's enormous. On the other hand, it's the final book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, so finishes a series for me. The series was on my top 10 priority TBR for the year, so it checks that box for me. It's one I've been meaning to finish out for a really long time. So it's a lot of, like, check boxes when I read this. Like, it's a big accomplishment to have finished that series for me. It's just a really big book. But it is what it is. Fourth book of the Faithful and the Fallen. Let's go. Let's see where I get to. Good morning. Ignore this. I've had a really busy weekend and it's actually Monday, so I should be wrapping this vlog up today. However, I would really like to finish my current read, which, as you know, is Wrath. Over the weekend, I haven't updated you at all. I've actually spent a lot of time with my family this weekend. We've been out to the spa, which was really nice for my grandma's 70th birthday. Spent Easter weekend at my grandma's. She did a massive roast dinner with help from everybody, and it was really lovely, and there was an Easter egg hunt for my cousins, and it was just a really nice family time, but I didn't get any reading done. Well, I say any. I got a little bit done, but not very much. But I am here. I am on page 365 of, like, 700 or something. So there's still a lot left to go, but it's Monday, I'm off work. Let's try and finish this today, because I feel like I've fallen behind on my 30 reads in 30 days thing over this weekend. Realistically, I have. Yeah, I was going to say I haven't. Maybe I am on a book a day, but I'm not. I have fallen behind. So let's try and finish this today, and we'll wrap this vlog up with Wrath being conquered. So far so good though. I am really enjoying it. But it's the fourth book in a series, so how much can I tell you? It is done. It is done. It is 10:30 on Monday night now, so I need to go to bed because I've got work tomorrow. But I finished it. It does still put me a book behind for 30 books in 30 days. I think we're at 9 books in 10 days so far. But yeah, right. Last book in the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. It was one of my goals for this year to finish out this series, so I am really pleased that I have managed to do that. I cried. It's been a little bit. I did cry at the end there. That was devastating, and I can't tell you why, I can't tell you what happened, but there is a certain character death, and the actual death didn't make me cry, but like a few chapters later, one of the other characters is mourning that character quite emotionally, and it just broke me. And then the last line where the remaining characters kind of all pay their respects to the many that are no longer with them, and oh, that just really hit me in the feels as well. So I did cry. Very sadly, it hasn't given me 5-star feels, which kind of sucks. I think Malice is the only one that did, which is a shame. I think we've had 5, 3, 4, 4 for this series. So a rare occasion where I think the first one is the best one, but both Ruin and Wrath have made me cry, like actually cry, and not just a little tear out of each eye, like actually cry, which I feel like is quite an accomplishment, because I feel like I don't properly cry at a lot of books. Like I might have a tear here, a tear there, but to actually make me cry is a fairly large accomplishment. So there's that. But yeah, it did get 4 stars on Core Pile. To be specific, it got
8.71. So it did get quite a high 4-star. If I did half stars, it would be 4.5, which is more than Ruin got. So yeah, a little bit more. And then Valor. Did Valor get 3 stars? Valor did get 3 stars, yeah. But yeah, I do think Malice was my favourite one, which is bizarre. And then Wrath being my second favourite one. But yeah, it's finished. And this is my 9th book in 10 days. It is the 10th of April, and so far this month I've read 9 books and 2,600 pages in 10 days, which is decent going, I think. Considering 30 books in 30 days, like, there's a few short reads in there, but I have read an over 700 page book, another book that was over 500 pages, and then a couple that were over 300 as well. So, like, I haven't just been reading tiny books, which I'm really proud of myself for doing, because I did kind of worry that 30 books in 30 days would mean I would just read a manga volume every day for 30 days, but I haven't done that, and I have read some other bigger books, and yeah, still some chonkers too. So yeah, to be 10 days in, and yeah, that level of progress I think is pretty good. And I think what I might do for the rest of the April reading and 30 books in 30 days is I might keep these vlogs to be 10 days, so that you'll get 3 installments of my progress for 30 books in 30 days, all the 3s. So this is installment number 1. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm really proud of myself for what I've managed to accomplish in these 10 days. Fingers crossed that the next 10 days are just as, if not slightly better, because I am technically a book behind, but I have read some chonkers, so I don't know. Almost all of my books this week have been picked by Patreon polls, so thank you ever so much to my patrons for voting on the random polls to select my reads for the week. I hope they enjoyed doing so. And if you ever wanted to check out my Patreon, the link's down below. No pressure though, whatever, the link's always there. But yeah, I think next week, or next installment, I'm going to try and switch it up and do something different to pick my books. So stay tuned to find out how I'm going to select what I'm reading next week. Because I don't know yet. But yeah, I shall see you then, because I'm going to go now. So thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, give us a thumbs up, chat to me down below, all that good stuff. But I shall see you in the next one. Bye!